Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever on a in the world. This is Mohammed Shilon coming to you from the United States of America. With me, my co-host, coming to you from England, Surrey, England, Mr. Victor Mengot. And then, of course, this program is being produced from Canada. This is October 5th, 2025, Sunday. So, as usual, I hope we will get a very interesting discussion, exchange of ideas, comments, and hopefully analysis. And that we end up with having learned something from each other. So today, as soon as we will talk to now, because we always get for lead deal with trending events. So I'll go make me co-host and go narrate the issues. Then we'll get for talk about. It will tell now what this topic and the subtopics, and we'll take them one by one. So now let me just go to normally the way for rich way. You see, we'll get a series of information we can give now. What's how for rich way, how for rich way. So now they brought up VOS television network. So in the carry on YouTube, in the carry on Facebook, in the carry on X, well, formerly they call Twitter, and then of course in the carry on the various websites then, and then in the carry on the radio, in the carry on Twitch. So YouTube, you go on VOS television, Facebook, VOS television, then Twitter, VOS television. And the website, you just go into www.vostelevision.com. You should be able to get we on YouTube particularly. Or on the radio, you can go on www.vosradio.com. You will be able to get we. But for the radio, you need to go now the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store for download the app for be able to get we at 91.9 FM. As I always can remind people them, at 91.9 FM, but for get we you get for download the app, the VOS app, and the VOS app you go get for going at the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. In addition to that, you go always reach me on Twitch TV when at VOS television. We also get what you call the VOS Diaspora Helping Hand non-profit organization. We in our scholarship down the primarily therefore now for help young people in our country, in Australian, we want to go to school, but they not get particularly the financial ability or means for push them through school. Because everybody will know about the free education in Australian, and this is not being critical of the system. The funding is not adequate enough for give picking them all what they need, the books, the supplies, pencils, and other things that are necessary for get good education. So sometimes they need a little push of which some private funding. That private funding, they as easy for some parents them. We not get the means for help them picking we get the ability for go forward. So the VOS scholarship program is purposed for that, and it applies to everybody, no preference to any tribe or section of the country. So please, you are welcome to join or to contribute, and any amount is not too small for contribute. So just think of the general good. With the try for just uplift everybody. We get the willingness for go forward, but you not get the means for pushing forward. So, and then I'm going to pass on over now to me co-host. We're going to tell you now about the general topic is going to be on with diasporans. Then we the abroad, with the out of the country. how to bridge the gap, how to bring changes in the country with transportation system. But Mr. Mengot, my co-host, when an expert, I'm going to pass on over to him. I know some of them topics then there, and then he will introduce himself, and then we'll move on. So to you, Mr. Mengot.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Shillon, and thank you very much, we viewers them. And we know say Sunday in a crowded program. A lot of other people in the broadcast. But today, we as usual, we they look at things where they at the social media trend. And one of the things that we happen this week we pass, now the United Nations General Assembly, where they call UNGA, UNGA, the 80th anniversary of the UN. So now this meeting we can come, all the 190 of them, they can go. And what's the purpose of UNGA? They go sit down and talk about things the way they affect everybody in the globe. Now then they talk about promoting international cooperation. Now then they talk about setting global standards, and now then can make a resolution of things the way they could follow up. I mean, two such resolutions were known in the past. Now the Declaration of Human Rights, everything to do with that. They also one time in the way the United Nations General Assembly been talk about a decade of action for road safety. They also will talk about things and to deal with the sustainable development goals, whether in a development orientated. But the interesting thing, countries and they send different people and for go. Salon, we get a huge delegation. The president been there, and he been there with a ministers then. So you get people then from the ministries and departmental agencies. But what you want to talk about today, not just the one way at the global section, but we see a unique thing will happen, where the Ministry of Information and Civic Education say then they do what they call civic engagement. They say they may not do an upline, or we say the regions then they don't do an Afriton. And what's in the purpose of this civic engagement? They say now for inform people then, because we get critical issues them where happen when they need that civic engagement and things to do with the amendment of electoral laws when a part of the tripartite agreement. Also things to do with elections, things to do with diaspora involvement, and also things to do with we own participation within the diaspora. So want as many of you now for come join we, because we in the diaspora will get involved in a lot of things and for do development. But I mean, get this meeting in America where 9 ministers then are been there. So we're not going to talk about all waiting the 9 ministers and talk about. We talk about things the way key thing we then tell the diaspora them. First of all, until we say the Attorney General as part of a review, when are both things the way relates to the country and also the tripartite agreement about diaspora involvement, say then go give we the right for votes. Who's how we did? So one look into that. If they don't do them, waiting at the challenges then, waiting at the pros and cons, eligibility, like who that go vote, I go identify Sierra Leoneans them. Whose kind of vote you want to do? Whose kind of elections you want to do? So it is not for letting just tell we say then they go the right for votes, but they for come out a plan. How is that achievable? So one talk about that. Then we been get the transport minister, where he talk about rail transport. We know say rail transport, they say they want to bring rail come back. This government said they don't bring Bokutin the way for deal with transport reform, and myself now involved in the reform of public transport in Salon. We will look at what thing they happen and how involved in transport development. Because we all know say most diaspora them, now they can buy then keke, taxi, poda for the people them for let them run, forget them and to much. But how do we formalize that? How do we take that to national level? and they say we forget involved in this real development. They don't get a real regulatory body. Is that appropriate? Then we talk also, we'll look at issues that for deal with announce and say that $25 tax what they pay, government say, well, review them. But not to that no more they talk in isolation. We talk about the whole cost of traveling to Sierra Leone, why we get so much costs in the ticket that we buy compared to neighboring country. Then in the same air transport industry, we get Air Sierra Leone, where we all being welcome. Because for a long time, we've not been able from London to Freetown. But all of a sudden, we see a lot of teething problem. Because last week, we see where some passengers are stranded, and Air Sierra Leone give it two conflicting reasons why that happened. And one look, if Air Sierra Leone, if na flag carrier, as we call her, we're telling her waiting a flag carrier, and waiting at the reputational risk because our country flag they fly. So how they can improve their service and to people. Now all that they will get at the Kotoku this evening. So over to you. Let's start with this one with eligibility for diaspora for votes within the context of the constitutional review process and the tripartite agreement. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mengot. Well, this election thing when they talk for the diasporans, meaning we were there out of the country. This, first of all, this is a thing that is long, long, long overdue. Because I think when you get politicians them or leaders them, what they think about the well-being of the country, and the well-being of the country include the people. So it includes the people. So what happens? If you think in terms of the country and well-being, you have to think of how it affects or how it impacts the people. And when I say no say, despite a lot of Australians are abroad, not out of choice. A lot of us came abroad as a result of necessity. Either you come abroad for get education, because some of us, we the time we left, that be Jala and Frabe, that be the only universities there. That be Milton Magai, that be the leading university and teachers training college. Then you get a handful of training colleges them up country. So the country be the produce more people than universities or institutions of higher education can take. So some of us had to look abroad, travel out, particularly the one that would go professional schools, from law to engineering to many other specialty area or professional areas then. So most of us come abroad not as not out of choice, but out of necessity for further education and improve we standard of living. And again, go back home and try for contribute to what we can able to do for bring the country up. So you can't, the country, the physical nature of the country, the land, the trees and everything, that alone not constitute the country. You know, now the people, now they're the main resource for the country. So a lot of times when you make policy, the policy for how they affect the people the way they do. Of course, policy also can involve other matters them, but people are the number one consideration. So now then they talk about this diaspora, and they look for say that issue that sometimes can come about when we tend for be getting closer to elections. We had that some years ago under the previous administration. Then last minute, they rearranged the whole process, then disqualified all of us from the ability of being able to vote at the elections then back home. And then dilute the law in such a way, I think they end up leaving just one option. If you want for vote, go home and go to a line and vote. When other countries like Senegal, Kenya, and many other countries, then with the top African countries, now then get system in place where diasporans then can vote. And so just because you're there out of the country, and then say, like we so what you to do right this moment. We don't, I mean, Mr. Mengo to don't live abroad for quite a while. I mean, we don't have to show any interest in Sierra Leone because this, for me, I can't speak for Mr. Mengot. This is where I've lived 70 or more percent of my entire life. So I could have lost touch. But when you think back in terms of the potential of the country, when you think in terms of the ability of the people, and you think, say, we all, and for some of where we come, even when we not go back as such, but we always had the dream of making whatever contribution we may or we can to the country. So we still maintain that spirit there. So now, with respect to the diasporas and voting, there are so many. We the thing say, as usual, there are a lot of things they're waiting for. Well, okay, let me just say this again. What you will notice about legislators, them, or parliamentarians, and maybe the practice of governance in Australia, then see whenever they come up with any issue, whenever the issue becomes publicly known, they look for say they already had thought through it, and they don't make a decision. They will only come up with the issue when they already have a decision taken, what I am proposing in Parliament. And unfortunately, with our parliamentary system, whenever a cabinet meets, then the cabinet then take and then decide or then come up with an idea. They just don't propose it, and Parliament independently try for analyze them and try for see whether what the government come up with, nothing we're good, or nothing we're good, but we don't need it now for a variety of reasons. But not everything good we could do now. Okay, certain things good, but we get for consider expenditure, how much, and we economy, with GDP. Then we decide, say, yeah, this is good for the country, but maybe we're not able to do it until 5 years from now. Because we get important other things then, maybe minor stuff them, not a big project that have not been done, what we need for do because they are necessary. You see, because some of the minor, well, we can argue on an example, like electricity. We don't long overdue this off and on blackouts in Australia. And we know say with the experience, and not because we don't know how to solve the problem. There is too much deal in a deal. Everything we're good for the country. If the one that would make the arrangement can't get something, then office say, if it's not good for them, it's not good for us. And that's all. Because electricity is as basic as it comes. We're not going to get these blackouts as a way of life. That should have long ago been put behind us. You know, long ago. By now, we'll be able forget 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week. You know, electricity. But the interruptions are so much, so which they affect the economy time and time again. But with the governments, then when they come and go, tend for things, say people will come and invest multi-million-dollar worth of stuff with unreliable power supply. So we get a lot of things there. Then now for the talk about voting for we were there abroad, and based upon what I just say, because it looked like we say, well, we leaders and begin to talk about something, they already make a decision. And Parliament, when they independently analyze whatever is proposed to them, they just a rubber stamp. Then in the end, as something is implemented, in less than 5 years, we begin for amend, because no much deep thought was given into it. Not only that, then the people that will come up with the idea might have thought about it deeply, but not soundly. Then they put it out there for a lot of people and for no, say, this is what we're thinking about. And one example would be this railroad. We will get to that. Okay. On a North Sudan, they'll arrange with a company who will build train, who will buy the train, we don't agree on all of that, we don't pass on account, then we go proposal. Put it out there saying that the long-term and goal this or short-term goal. So when I begin to talk about that, let we know what you know the think about. So some of we will get ideas or get people that will get ideas, go make some contribution. So I now understand how repeatedly we keep do this thing about once they just somebody like then say, almost like we're stepping on a snake. I've already talked about time, you don't mess one. So every time they talk about new legislation, about something, they already they'll reach a conclusion. They just go through the motion, and even the motion when they go through, they know they go through and properly because they know they follow the necessary required constitutional parliamentary steps to be taken. And we don't take we own laws then now for just be rubber stamping. Then think about something, then sell unto we will not get no opportunity for putting any idea, So we will talk about the eligibility. Then just tell we how, if we're there abroad with the voting, how is it done? Where is it going to take place? How is it going to take place? What thing will be the chain of process? How things will go so we will trust say, vote abroad. Our votes are really counted. There is no cheating and all that kind of stuff. So I just give a general idea about the whole thing. So now we'll go back to Mr. Mengo, make it just tell we about the ABC of watching and the proposed, then we'll take a subheading by subheading.
Okay, you, thank you very much. Let's go back to this diaspora. Diaspora, what do you mean by diaspora? Then Sierra Leoneans, them.
Where they out of the country.
We don't left the country. Where they out of the country. From the research we do, in the United States of America, there are roughly about 35,000 Sierra Leoneans. That according to the official statistics. Because now we see say Mr. Trump don't come. And the talk say there's a lot of other people that they were not supposed for day. In fact, we get a report recently we say about 1,000 Sierra Leoneans and they were there for send back. So in the United States, we get 35,000 Sierra Leoneans. And not for say then they one side. The majority side where then and then at the place we call the DMV, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Then if you look at the New York axis, you get New York, New Jersey, and then places like my own colleague who to there in the North Carolina, we're not be far from Jersey. So we get all them people in there. In the UK, we get about 23,000 official Sierra Leoneans. Where majority of that then they in London. So now if you talk say diaspora for votes, what thing they not tell we? Number one, some time ago, according to the constitution, diasporans them way most of them are dual citizen. We mean say, what I mean by dual citizen? Majority of we in a Sierra Leone and by birth. And as my colleagues say, when we come abroad, necessity make we acquire dual nationality, either because of job or because of other advantages. Because then country are certain privileges then they, if you not get a nationality, you not go get them. So we don't get a nationality there. Before Sierra Leone not be allowed dual citizenship, but then they change under President Kaba. But then with Constitution Section 76(1) say, if you are a dual citizen, you cannot stand for parliamentary election. The test case between that case where involved Dr. Kandel Yunkola and David Fona, where the High Court rule say yes, that can happen. But a High Court ruling cannot override what is already in the Constitution. As far as me know, Section 76(1) of the Constitution, where say diaspora, they not for stand, they not amend it. So if they say we for vote outside. I always get this argument say, if you can be allowed to vote, you should be allowed to be voted for. What's up in the system in the past? In the past, if you're in a diaspora, where they allow you for vote, you get for go to first go register. It costs you a lot of money. Where you gonna go register? Then you get for then at the electoral register. Then you get verification. Then when they vote again, you get for go vote. So say we for vote who's our day. First of all, whose country, then go allow we for vote. Because when you take America now, I think we embassy in Washington today. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but we get other consul and other places in like Florida and then places and they. So how they go manage that system there? First of all, registration. We law say for election, you get forget voters ID card and registration and all that. So does that mean we in the diaspora, we not gonna need that? If we don't need that, how they go able know who they are eligible for vote? Then the other question. Is it by your passport? And when you talk about passport, whether a valid passport, because some man don't come for years. In passport not valid again. In passport they expires and they don't the 10 year and no go salon. So should that person be allowed to vote in the country? Now, even if you talk for votes, we still get two systems of voting. We get first past the post, we get PR system. And the tripartite agreement say they get for consult. First of all, for consult with the diasporans of which type of election we want. They don't tell we that too. They just tell we say, we for vote. Who's our day? So if we for vote, who's our day? If na first past the post, whose constituency they will register we vote for? The constituency na either it will be the place where you born or your last known address na salon. So man come on a place where they no get address. So how you go allocate that vote day? If now proportional representation again, the same thing under district block system, how you go allocate the votes? And what system of voting want? If now electronic voting, if we vote using electronic means, how reliable is that system of voting? Things to do with voter verification. We've been under a salon, we'll see issue them where even when they vote electronically. I think say it was the 2018 election where there was allegations say they hacked the server of the NEC, which would they call ECSL. So these are all the issues them we'll go for concern about for this where they can't vote. So the government for put up all NTR, we for continue the dialogue. Because not just the people that we go to that town hall meeting, they no more. Because if you take and say from the figure where you get 35,000 Sierra Leoneans in the US, I should say the one way then at that town hall meeting, they know reach 1,000. If they say them people they endorse, and what about the one that we not been there? So these are the issues to consider. So over to you, Mr. Shillon, if you can put some legal perspective and your explanation, and then keep the points and challenges that I don't mention.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for example, where the people that will meet with the ministers, them now this hunger conference, as a result of this hunger conference, where about 9 ministers then come. Well, let's look at it that way. If then be announced, someone like me, I would have loved to be there because I have a lot of questions. Maybe I would have been allowed to ask at least 1 or 2, but I was not even aware of it. So you just begin to wonder how extensive is the announcement for them kind of a meetings there. And because just cannot, with the talk generally. In fact, party supporters them tend not to be too analytical because they are driven by selfish motives. Now, the one that when are independent supporters them, people who are neither here nor there in terms of party support, Now, those are the kind of people that you want because we try to look at things objectively, independently, progressively. So but if we're not doing them, again, it's a disservice to the country if we only send them to a group of people and we don't feel the room we want to go for all such a meeting. When I want the people who the attendees them for those people who will come and agree with you now, it's well and good, but it's a disservice to the country because if we really are committed to the cause and want to do something good for the country, you know, forget people of all stripes. And the rules are pretty simple. No matter whose political party you support, the government of the day is the government of the day. It's our government. So what you do, you go there with the understanding that you give them the respect they are due. Like how would you conduct this show? Anybody can call me from any party. Even if we suspect, say, you are a party supporter, I will try to give you your dues for make you tell give your own view. Sense or nonsense, whether we agree or not, we'll try to give you your own time for make you express what you have to say. So I think it's a disservice to the country when people then come, you get 9 ministers in from a country, then come, then you read the statistics of Mr. Mengo Giwi for say there are thousands and thousands of us abroad, but if I have to guess, Sierra Leone, England, Australia, you talk about over 100,000 or more of Sierra Leoneans abroad. You get a lot of way abroad. I think the country owe we a duty for inform we and say, hey, with the camel, we plan for meet with Sierra Leoneans them, not party supporters them. Because let's face it, a good many of the party supporters them abroad. Let me not forget, say, the people that where they run Sierra Leone, a good many of them once live abroad. So you see how well a job then they do. I'm being sarcastic. So if when I want the steady supply of that kind of people, or when I want a mixed supply of people who can objectively raise questions, make suggestions, try for help, then that's to me that good quality of leadership. Because at the end of the day, it will show incompetence. You can only mask them, but so far. But then the incompetence begins for sure. So this is what we're saying. Let's approach the thing one at the development of Sierra Leone in good faith, with honesty, with sincerity, and of course with commitment. But if we just try to play politics into everything, like I just said earlier, where we want for pass law, we go to meet, cabinet go to meet, then we don't make decision. Not a decision based on anything broad, but a decision based on some narrow consideration. Then when they pass the law, in 2 years or less, they want for amend. One thing because thing that they work. Can you imagine if now so technology be the work? We not would think of the downside. We just put in. So with that technology, they don't kill or hurt people. Then before we begin say, oh, let me not put this there, not put this there. I don't get it. So now, Mr. Mengot in passing also even talk about there was an indication that maybe they might deport some Sierra Leoneans. I want to appeal to all Sierra Leoneans. If you are here, England or anywhere, but particularly in the United States, where it is rough for so many people now, for when I get legitimate paper, I go appeal to you. If you end up having to fall into that dragnet day of being caught by what we call ICE, Immigration and Custom Enforcement, I get the acronym ICE. Don't feel embarrassed if they say you go back home, because take it as a badge of honor, because that is better for come abroad, can hustle. And if unfortunately you as you get caught, you not get the right paper and send you home, be proud of it, because we became one senator, with Senator Humphrey, Hubert Humphrey, one of the vice presidents under President Johnson, which he was from Minnesota. He says, he had a saying, I would rather talk to a man who has tried and failed than a man who's never tried at all. So take it as a badge of honor. If you get deported, it's just a misfortune in life, and one way or the other, people in the suffer misfortune. But don't make that be an embarrassment. And don't let somebody use it negatively against you. Oh, then deport you from America. Say, so what? I don't go there go commit crime. I just go there for hustle and improve my life. And we all know, say, when your life is improved abroad, lives are improved back home because they depend heavily on we. So I just try to encourage with people. Going to section 76, Mr. Mengot, let me just switch back to you. I will get to you. Just take over for me in terms of this constitutional. I want to address the constitutional issue, the Parliament, about this section 76, subsection 1, for just talk about how, if that section they still will control what they talk about election, if it is still in existence and it has not been amended, and the Constitution talk about voting, I don't know how it is still a legitimate law where they control voting. If it is not amended, why is it being complied with? And why Section 76 not seem for being consistent with the Constitution as required by, well, as the Constitution required. So Section 76, which is just a legislation passed by Parliament, still in existence, and they control the voting in terms of election to Parliament. And then Mr. Mengot raised a question, say, if you can be elected, no, if you can vote, why can't you be voted for? So everything seems to be just opposing each other. So we want to try to get down to that kind of a thing. Watching at the rationale behind, number one, you can be you can run for parliament, which encourage you or empower you for run for parliament, and then which prohibit you from running for the president. And this distinction about you can run for the presidency, but you get to belong to a political party. I don't know, watching at the rationale. Then you can run for parliament, but you don't have to belong to a political party. You can run as an independent. So some of them distinctions, then they don't make sense. But I just wonder, watching at the rationale behind that, was it because for political advantage, or because there is some sound rationale to it? I don't know. So we also talk about the issue of passport. How do you determine who's eligible to vote? Is it by birth certificate, by passport, being someone who has an American passport, Australian passport, or watching at the condition of eligibility? Then we'll talk about electronic voting. Well, electronic voting come in different forms, because electronic voting also could include both physical and electronic. You go in, you fill out the form, you pick your candidates, then you put them in the machine where they do the electronic counting instantly. That's a form of electronic voting. Some places you get electronic voting where you not get for deal with paper, you just get for press buttons. So there are a lot of things. So when then they come and talk to we now they know what they don't consider when they just reach some things, say, oh, this one I would say go parliament. And parliament never get a certain amount of time for give with the rest of we the opportunity for agree or disagree or make counter suggestions. Then what that all leads to, because they don't give proper analysis, they don't give due diligence to which they get for do, 1 or 2 years later, it becomes necessary to amend or sidetrack that law. And there are a lot of times where we leaders, they not even comply with the very law the way they write them. They just sidetrack them. So what they happen, by the time the law go into effect, it is designed and destined to be a failure. So when are we going to abandon that? I don't know. But so we just have to, there are so many issues in this whole process, planning, amending the Constitution, not to amending the Constitution, amending certain sections of acts will control voting, and try for liberalize which is more on the progressive side, for see how much people will legitimately can vote. And then one major question before I switch to Mr. So if let's say we say the on passport issuance will be a determining factor. Well, we also get a process now where people who've never been to Sierra Leone, just for purposes of getting to be with the self citizenship, which I've also said, it is crazy. Citizenship, not only for earn. I don't know of any country where you stay afar, then say you invest 1 million or 10 million, you can get citizenship passport. Because if you do that with the way people are getting rich in the world today, if we leaders do not think, if they not think well, there are people in America, somebody like Mr. Musk, who could also become a trillionaire in the next year or two. He can able buy a whole country like Sierra Leone from another source. He can just Sierra Leone, say this and that, they allow, he can get passport for 30,000, 100,000. 1 million people, he get the money where he can, because if we invest certain amount of money, you can get Sierra Leone passport. Mr. Musk get the kind of money where he can get the whole of Sierra Leone. This man in net worth now is over $400 billion in net worth. And it's rumored that in the next year or two, he may become the world's first trillionaire. So what I'm saying, we have to think in terms of the future. So if you're not going to be a born Sierra Leonean, you're not going to get any kind of connection, you're not going to go through any processor, you get to do that money. Well, to Mr. Musk, $5 billion is like $5 is to me. He can use $5 billion and sway elections the way he wants. Just like I do in this country, if he could do it in America, he could do it back home. But the problem is, he can fill the country up with different nationals. Mr. Musk get the ability, because of his wealth, for say, okay, I can make in the next 10 years, the majority of Sierra Leoneans, then are white people. Because you're able to transfer and transplant. So we have to be very careful. We just come out with reckless laws about you come up with $1 million, we'll give you passport. Our leaders better be careful because they really are not taking things into account. Because if that trend where the tribe for tell when I say I'm concerned about, in the next 20 years, I mean, we country, the composition of the people and where they could change drastically just by infusing money into the system for the wrong reason. So again, for now, make I just hold off because we'll get a lot of other topics and for talk. Let me go back to Mr. Mengo.
Yes, sir. You asked some very pertinent question. Now begin deal with silos by silos. Number one, we talk about citizenship because the citizenship law of Ingena Salon, it was in 1973. The Citizens Act in 73. That was before the 1991 Constitution. Under that 73 Act, Sierra Leone not being recognized dual citizen, which means Sierra Leonean born, and for being a Sierra Leonean citizen, one of your parents them get for be a Sierra Leonean, you get for be born in Sierra Leone at the time, and they may get that close grandparents for be of Negro descent. We remember the famous case with Donaka and some of the other people. But that was changed under President Kaba, where they allowed dual citizens. So when they changed that law, it means now dual citizens can vote. But the 1991 Constitution, under Section 76(1), still say as a dual citizen, you are not eligible to stand for parliament. Right? Even though we don't change say dual citizen can vote, and there was a landmark ruling for that David Fona and Kande Yumkela, because these things be known there, but not be they do them. We be they ignore them. Now, when Kande Yumkela come, us from the diaspora, get diaspora support, this whole thing here its head. But before he was going to be elected or nominated, he renounced in US citizenship. When he renounced in US citizenship, the case where they bring against him been delayed in a court. So he been not renounced citizenship before the court give in judgment. So the Supreme Court give in judgment. And the judgment was say, as a dual citizen, you can vote, you can be voted for as a member of parliament, but you cannot stand as for presidency. And for stand as for presidency, number one, you get for be in the voters register. Two, you get for be eligible for vote for stand as an MP. Then you can stand as president, but through a party. So even these laws, then when they talk about diaspora voting externally, go need some kind of amendment of the Constitution, because I'm not aware that Section 76(1) of the Constitution has been amended. Then we get the Electoral Public Elections Act 2022, where that act they now bring come when we introduce proportional representation. The tripartite agreement talk about a lot of things that Public Elections Act there, where they get for amend in line with the Constitution. So here is the confusion. We get three issues the way they go around. We get the tripartite recommendation, where according to the government, they say they don't do 84% of what's supposed to be done. But they not tell you waiting at the 84%. We don't know. You get the constitutional review, where some of them constitutional review, they didn't whether they are reviewing at the Constitution, now entrench clause them, and some of them relate to elections, where you can only do that through a referendum. So if we're now in 2025, right, and elections are 2028, we'd almost done 2025. Now because now the last quarter of 2025 we did so. 2026 now they come to, and we lost now the Constitution say if we want to do voting by constituency, it get to be based on a census, the decimal census. What do I mean by decimal census? Which is 10 years. The last year we'll do a 10-year census, now 2015. So we should have had one in 2025. So if we not get another one till 2026, December, until they validate them, there's a likelihood, say, we will for use the proportional representation system for vote again 2028. And if that system they would use, how would that be determined who they eligible for vote in the diaspora, and how their vote be allocated, and who's partner the diaspora? Because we get Sierra Leoneans in Canada, we get Sierra Leoneans in US, we get Sierra Leoneans in UK, we get Sierra Leoneans in the continent, Germany, and all that. We get Sierra Leoneans in Australia, not to forget about the Sierra Leoneans in other countries in Africa, like with neighboring countries, Liberia and Guinea, and even Gambia. So how do we determine who say Sierra Leoneans where they abroad go vote? And are we going to set a threshold, say, unless we have a certain percentage of Sierra Leoneans in an area before we give the voting? So for me, this is a no-brainer. This idea of telling diasporans and say, we can vote electronically for 20, or we can vote externally, let us say electronically, because they not tell you how they vote for 28 election. But all of the things them we deal with election management process, and nobody know they talk about the Public Elections Act 1922. 2022. My bad. Public Elections 2022, where some of them get to be amended in line with the Constitution. So there are more questions than answers. So now the background that I get for Guy on all these things. Then we ask the key question: is it diasporans' preference for take part in elections, or is it that they should be given a free hand for being involved in development in Sierra Leone? And the second part we want to deal with. In the way diaspora they worry about, even with passport. Imagine with passport safe now every 5 years now we forget them. And if you are renew your passport, you get for good tongue. Before when your passport, you get up to 10 years. So when we passport, why can't force, set up a system where we go register at the embassy, make a mandatory, say if you're there abroad, all Sierra Leoneans get for register at the embassy, law gets that registration there first, then we can determine other things. So let's just read one question, one thing, then I will go to you. We are in a digital age. If Sierra Leone government is willing to invest, secondly, individuals with dual citizenship should not be allowed to vote in Sierra Leone and run for presidential terms. I don't know what that means, but I'll leave it as that. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, in fact, with that comment, the way you just read, sometimes it can be good for get to understand people and thought process. So, what is the disadvantage if the Sierra Leonean living abroad? Because the Sierra Leonean living abroad who goes home and runs for parliament and wins, he gets as much impact, whether negatively or positively, on the country and its people as someone who runs for the presidency. So waiting at the downside of being a Sierra Leonean abroad, how is that disadvantageous to the country? What makes the person who live in Sierra Leone more qualified, or why? Because sometimes it's good for understand people and thought process. So the person who is sending this comment, by the time we show over, it would be nice for just say we're waiting at the disadvantage in being a Sierra Leonean abroad, because you're the same person. If you're abroad, if you're home, if you are who you are. So a Sierra Leonean abroad, for example, I don't want to be political, but we see some Sierra Leoneans, the way to go back home, one for getting into politics, spending your money. So what will make them less qualified than Sierra Leoneans than we they in Sierra Leone or live in Sierra Leone, and the world has gotten so much closer that there are many things them. Because that same problem they thinking they will be maybe considered shallow thinking, where they say dual citizenship, oh, that's a good thing, for what they call. Then when you ask people and say, well, if you get dual citizenship, what's the disadvantage to the country? How is that not advantageous? Because now there are exceptions to that, because people might want to follow the American system, where the Americans then say, you can run for any office, you can be governor, you can be mayor, you can be senator, you can be a congressman in America. But you cannot be president of the United States if you were not born here. That is based on psychological and survey and analysis and don't make, because I guess people bond more with a country where if nowadays your life was shaped. So if you're born in Sierra Leone, you go to school in Sierra Leone, probably go college. I mean, you can't shake that off. You will get Sierra Leonean ways, Sierra Leonean attachment to the country, sentimentality, and all that in there, or sentiment. So, but other than that, that exception to America get, you can run for any office in this country. You can born abroad, you become governor, you become mayor, you become senator, you become congressman. But we get citizens here, we get the population of a country. So we are just a tiny portion, we try to copy a good system. So whoever just send a comment about if you are, let me say how it is worded, and one from school. Individuals with dual citizenship should not be allowed. So why is dual citizenship a disqualification to become president of Sierra Leone? I would just like to know the rationale. I mean, the person might get a cogent, persuasive reason, but this is the age of reasoning. So tell us why. Is it just sentimental? You know, just like a lot of time we're sentimental in the sense that, well, me a white man, I don't like to see white people marry black people. I don't like to see me a black person, I don't like to see black people marry white person. Oh, me a Muslim, I don't like to see Muslim marry Christian. Then so let me see what's what, you know. But now my own question is if the person can call and ask. May I take a question? Okay. Because we get one
There's
question.
a caller on the line.
Yeah, there's a caller. So let me just take that question. Hello, caller.
Hello.
What's your name? Where you call from?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, go ahead. Who's calling?
Yes. Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr.
Mr.
Mango.
Shilon and Mr. Mingot. Yeah.
Mr. Mango and Mr. Shilon.
Correct.
This is Mr. William.
Okay, Mr. Williams. Thank you for calling, sir.
I'm calling from USA.
Okay, sir. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Shilon. How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. Fine. Nice hearing from you again.
Yes, sir. Although this is not on the topic, but you know the legal man, and I go here, you thought about it. And it's so scary. I don't say I see something on the social media where a military go and walk a building where belongs to KDU, the Creole Descendants Union. It was so surprised to me. The military take the law in their own hand, walk that building there without court order. And when they interview the spokesman for the military, he said not care about court order because the building the land belongs to the military. I want to know if the military get a different law. What are they the constitution? Because the military they work for the federal government, and the military don't get a land there because government just easily apportion the land to them for do their military function. So it was so surprised to me when the military they go take action like that. It's so scary. And also, if the military want to look at the discipline institution, they behave like that reckless way and lawlessness. How come a military they take the law on your hand? We need to realize, we the citizens, now we tax to pay them from the end, from that actual in the world. Can't go the source. Now we they buy for it. It's very troublesome. For see a military they behave reckless way and lawlessness. So, Mr. Stillone, I don't know. I don't know if you know about it. I don't know the topics today, but I want
Yeah,
to put
I'm aware. I'm
people
aware
are
of
hearing
it.
about
Yeah.
it.
Yes, sir. I'm aware of it.
It's a really reckless way that they deal with immunity. So that's not
All right.
my contribution. That.
All right, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I'm not going to. I'm not. I did make a note of it. I go address that issue there. But for let us stay on course, we will get back to them. I will give you an answer with respect to that, because there are other issues them we want to make sure say we deal with. Let us not get too carried away on that issue there. But I promise you, before the show is over, I will get back to it and address that and give you a response. So let me go back to my colleague just for find out if, because there is so much to do. A lot of times I just say a scratch with the put on some of the topics then, because if we want to deal with everything in detail, we're not going to be able. So let me ask my colleague if we don't address some of the major issues, not necessarily exhaust them in detail, but if we don't address some of the issues then, with the voters' eligibility or the election, because we get for talk in terms of tripartite, then we get for going to transportation, and we only get 1 hour to go. So, Mr. Mengot, if we get any additional thing for talk about, anything pertaining to the Public Elections Act 2022, this this manner of voting will be the top, whether one for go do the first past the post or the PR system. These are all legitimate, genuine issues that we should be dealing with to make things smooth, not to necessarily give one political party power or undue advantage over the other. But I not know if we address all the necessary issues on the election part before we go to the next issues on transportation. We involve the seas, railroad, motor roads, airlines, and all of that. So you, Mr. Mengot.
Well, I think say we don't look at what the government intend for do. We don't look at the challenges then. As you rightfully say, and Mr. Believe, it is a suggestion. We're not a sweep under the carpet, but let the government come back out with a blueprint, because we go address this subject here as time goes on, because we expect sort of a bill to be put in Parliament for amendment of certain sections of the Public Elections Act 2022 in relation to the Constitution. So I think say we will continue this subject when the government give a blueprint, and if they address this issue, then one, how would they do the registration? Two, who is a Sierra Leonean who is eligible to vote in the diaspora? Three, where would this voting take place? Four, what type of voting? Is it postal ballot, electronic voting? And five, when they tell we whose kind of system we go need. So somebody they say, are we willing to accept another bunch of white colonial governors in charge of Sierra Leonean affairs?
What does it mean by that? But what does
I don't
it
know
mean?
what you mean about that. I think say this is what we are saying. Sierra Leone, the diasporans and Sierra Leoneans at home, we're not different. Let me make this clear. The only difference is that some people voluntarily come abroad for seek fortune, but they had to Sierra Leone. And now make it clear for these people where they talk. If you look at some of the survey that we don't do, the amount of remittance from the diaspora is far more than what you get in development assistance. The only thing, it is not formalized. Because you get different people them where they send money, different means. I listened to this same town hall meeting where the Minister of Information said from where they can have power with this free quality education, Sierra Leone government don't spend $2 billion just on education. That's great. But is that value for money? Are we seeing it? We're not for the judge and to the number of enrollment, but what about the quality of the education? What about the support for teachers? What about the facilities, the educational facilities? So these are the issues. So I don't think we get much for talk about this until the government come out with a blueprint to address the issues they are we don't raise. But we will still go ahead because this is a civic meeting where the other issue where they may raise the issue of transportation. And one of the things where they talk about, and the minister talk about this railway system. If you don't get anything, I can introduce this subject, then we'll go ahead with it.
Well, I have a lot in mind, but on my mind, but I don't think I will yield for make you just go ahead. Let us start with the transportation system, But the only comments we may get in terms of how would they legislate ideas them. So when they talk about amending or not amending, passing laws, the only concern I have, they are always, then they conclude, then reach a decision, and there is a 99% chance that anything cabinet meets and talk about and propose will become law. But the cabinet not the tribe for take into account on a broad-based basis the true effects of any laws the way they try for passed. You get a small group of people who generally will do what the president asks them, and that's the way it should be. Because if you know to go along with the president, then you know for belong in a group. But that is not representative of what the country may or may not need. So it's easy for us to come out and say, well, cabinet don't agree. But why is it that when cabinet get a feeling that should become law? Why can't parliament do their own due diligence? So we will see genuine commitment, genuine objection, or support for any idea within the try for talk. But I'm concerned around it because parliament and the executive have almost become one and the same. They don't match. They know they try for keep up to them constitutional responsibilities. Now, I don't want anybody to tell me, say, oh, well, it's the same thing in America. Okay, yeah, it's happening. But that's a poor example. It's just like when if you complain about crime in Sierra Leone, burglary, you say, oh, then the chief, that don't make any sense. So wrong is wrong. So if corruption is bad in Sierra Leone, it's bad everywhere else, just because it's being done here, I don't say, an example I know for follow. So I will hope people then go appreciate what you would try to do for Sierra Leone. Because America then get a lot of institutions that have been long established working withstand some of their abuses in there. But we not get institutions built long and strong enough for withstand diversion, abuse, then so we really get for try hard. Who want pass something, who want pass laws, even who want vote for a parliamentarian, then they understand which not enroll. Because we also say most of the parliamentarians, when they go to parliament, now for the sale and the lookout. They don't look out for the people who they represent. So because of that, again, like I say, I gave me your opinion, but time, we have to apportion with time. So I will go back to Mr. Mengot, let we talk about transportation.
Okay, Fambulem, as I've been saying, we get about 9 ministers them like this civic engagement. We get the Minister of Action, we get the Minister of Transport, when a boss system, because they don't talk about the worker fine. Then we'll talk about air transport, the cost of air transport, things them for do with the security tax what they pay, and also with flagship carrier where na Air Sierra Leone, where inside they get teething problem. That with railway. Now, the government come recently, then set up, then pass a bill in the parliament, where don't become an act, where then call, they establish the Railway Development and Regulatory Authority. They not even appoint a director general. But one of the things them, I don't search for that authority there, the laws them, waiting at the responsibilities. Even parliament self, in order to decide. But what they say this authority for do? They say this authority now for regulate rail transport and cable car. The only thing we know, now the mayor of Freetown no more than cable car. Government no get any plan for do cable car. So why are we going to have a regulatory authority now where they combine rail and cable car? Because cable car is not a form of rail. If this authority, because when they talk about rail system, for we, where they are when a transport, you get different type of rail. You get what you will call heavy rail system, well, like what you've been get before, right? We also get light rail system. We get tram system, but what would they talk about now? Heavy rail system, well, like what you've been get, the time we've been get now been 3'6" gauge. That railway where they come up from Freetown, where they go upland, Pendembu and everything. So the government don't set up a regulatory authority. But before that, government may not announce this before they set the authority. So now look at the video where we control who will pay, where the first time, because they may not tell we say 2023, nine government about this. By now, the passenger rail coach them for don't kind of tongue. Nothing but that. We talk and do government. We don't see nothing, then all of a sudden we don't send a regulatory authority, an authority where they develop and regulate. So now look at this video first, because we let put things in perspective, let we viewers and know say what would they talk now based on empirical evidence. Over to you, sir. If the control room keep
The government of Sierra Leone has announced plans to bring back passenger trains which last ran in 1974. But right now, the only train in the country is the Pepel to Sonkolili line run by the Leone Rock Metal Group, which carries the iron ore mineral from the mines to the Pepel port to be exported to countries like China. While speaking in the United States, the Minister for Transport and Aviation Alhaji Fandi Toure urged Sierra Leoneans abroad to invest, while also pointing out the Wakafine buses carry more than 35,000 people daily in Freetown, safe roads, and possible reduction in the airport fees.
The possibility of Sierra Leoneans enjoying passenger railway after about 60 years since the last railway system was alone. According to the Calabash newspaper, a same Arise IIP imports 7 passenger rail cars from Japan expected at Freetown Port on October 26, 2023. This generally they tell we say Sierra Leone we beloved country. They can join the rest of the world and other countries like Nigeria and Ghana for enjoy high-speed railway train where they expected for day na the country by the 26th of October this month. According to the Calabash newspaper and AYV, they say the correspondence way then date around 22nd September 2023 from Mr. Samuel Komba Kambo, the general manager of Interface at Arise IIP, where he sent to Alhaji Fandi Toure, ambassador.
Now, Mr. Mengot, if I may say something, sir, because you're not the expert, but
Yeah.
just in line with waiting with the talkboard. These people are talking about coaches or whatever should be arriving in Sierra Leone by October 26. And I'm sure they're talking about this October. If I'm wrong, correct me, not to next year, October. Then they
No,
talk
no,
of
no. Okay, let me put it in context. The government make this announcement in February 2023. Then prior to the election, and say by October 2023, the coach then go don't come. I think say if the control room can play we get another video. We talk about Arise IIP. If you can play that day, it go put her in context. So now the election promise. So let us listen to this one where the control room will play.
Not the airline, huh?
In a significant development for Sierra Leone's transportation sector, Arise IIP has announced the imminent arrival of 7 passenger rail cars imported from Japan. The rail cars are expected to dock at the Freetown port on October 26, 2023. The correspondence, bearing the reference number Arise SL0923/02 titled Arrival of Passenger Trains, underscores the progress made under the railway and port lease agreement signed between the government of Sierra Leone and Arise IIP on January 17, 2023. This agreement grants Arise IIP the responsibility to operate and maintain the rail and port infrastructure, including operation of a passenger rail service. It further explained that Arise IIP is diligently preparing for the reception of these rail cars, including mobilization of necessary equipment to safely unload transport and park them along the rail infrastructure. One notable aspect mentioned in the letter is the current control of the railway infrastructure by Kingo, prompting Arise IIP to seek permission from the government to park the rail cars along the rail corridor until the commencement of the passengers' rail services. General Manager Samuel concluded the letter by expressing Arise IIP's intention to submit duty-free entry forms for the shipment in the coming weeks in accordance with the provision of the agreement. The duty-free waiver is a key element in facilitating the successful implementation of passengers' rail service. The letter has been copied to several high-ranking officials and ministries, including Honorable Chief Minister, the Honorable Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Secretary to the President, and Commissioner General of the National Revenue Authority, NRA. As Sierra Leone eagerly awaits the arrival of these passenger rail cars, this development marks a significant step forward in enhancing the country's transportation infrastructure and fostering economic growth. For Star News in Freetown, Alusain Abubakar Bangura.
Okay, before you comment, let's put her in context. The only railway system we'll get in Salone now, the one where they transport iron ore from Tonkolili to the port of Pepper, which is now being operated by Leon Rock. But that railway there is owned by government. So the video will see Arise IIP and other entities will become we call boku chine where they want to do na Salone. That industrialization in that Putloko area. So government sign agreements with them, and then we don't make noise say, then they bring passenger rail come and everything. But that agreement was challenged. So that never take off. So the only railway again now Leon Rock. But the significance of this is that now just like the ferry service, boku time, government can sign agreement with one person. They don't look at the implication of doing a second agreement with another. Then the other two I would like for actually comment on this. Because from that announcement that they make, it means say that they put the cart before the horse. You don't, now after all this thing happen, and now then they think say for we get a railway regulatory development and regulatory authority. So if you get one authority we now for develop the strategy for railway, then the regulatory body. So waiting and the regulate, then you link them up with cable car. Does that make sense? So now that's not the issue. So if one develop railway, the Ministry of Transport forget a section where they deal with railway development, employ experts. Then after you don't do them, before you go come up with a regulatory authority, then you call people then from diaspora and say, okay, I can't contribute, I can't help. How they go do that? We will not see the blueprints, we will not see nothing. So that is my comment. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, along that line, this Arise IIP, if you recall, I think about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, we covered something like that when we find out that already this is a government track where they transport the iron ore to the Pepel port. Then all of a sudden, a group of ministers, but I think we played the video, where they were not even fully aware of what was going on in terms of agreement, because you get one company that will get contracted to government for transport to the port of Pepel, where iron ore. Then you get Arise IIP, will not get any experience in railroad management, if I recall. I'm just going by my recollection, because we did cover that. For all of a sudden, they won't give them the permission for begin for operate passenger railroad. And I think then when we call, what will we do that in there, we even talk about waiting, if they do any feasibility studies, waiting the capacity and the financial, let me say, not a reward, now the word will come to mind, the financial benefits to the area. Will there be that many people traveling within Chonkolili and Potloko district to warrant a passenger a train line? Because how can they just make them broad and just say railroad? I mean, when you make railroad now for the entire country or the cross section of the country, you take two neighboring districts where one track, where one from which then they mine iron ore, to the other from which then they export the iron ore. Then you say, oh, things are so good, let us take the same track there, make a passenger. And there is no evidence that there will be any business that will be worth the investment, other than maybe the private company like Arise IIP will have been able to just take advantage of the existing, make minimal investment, and probably reap extraordinary profits, because they're not going to invest in railroad, and that's going to bring 2-3 passenger carriages or coaches. Then voila, there we go with and people in the right train. But we never even know whether the population will even support that kind of investment there. Then what else will Arise IIP do for gain entry? Because this is the thing with the top. The engine and instead of just meet and agree on a proposal, put it out in the public government, let we see, let we know, let we raise some of them questions there. So now even this the governing board, or way the government is set up, will not get the existence of, will not get railroad. Okay, so I thought, like Mr. Mengo say, we will not set up regulatory board for begin for regulate railroad. We will not get passenger railroad at all. We once had it. So it will not have been the case of us catching up with other countries, it would have been the case of other countries catching up with us. But because of the short-sightedness of we leaders then, although this happened in the Stevens era, they foolishly abolish the railroad system and foolishly not preserve the pathway where the trains are made to go, that could have been of use. Now we talk about re-establishing a railroad, but yet it no matter because that's why we have people who are experts and all in here. If one establish railroad, there are people who are trained in mapping out the here, planning out the here, who can get railroad east-west, north-south, you know. So these are some of the things, but we're not to do that. You get a handful of non-fully informed or adequately informed government officials, for whatever reason, they could just come up with ideas, where if they just think for a moment, they're going to say it will fall, it will fail, because not much thought is being put into it. So these are some of the things that we would talk about. So if we are all in favor of something. Now I see the Minister of Transportation to talk about, Mr. Mengo to confirm that, and he say we can find the transport as much as 35,000 people a day. That's an impressive number of people, and it may very well be. But if so, I wonder how efficient transportation has become, how convenient people moving from one point to another point in the city, how less burdensome has it become? Or is it become more burdensome? Because 35,000 people, it's a lot of people, you know, a day. And how well Waka Fine is doing. And then this thing about high-speed rail, because you're in the video, they talk about high-speed rail. Railroad does not translate into high speed. Like, you do have high-speed rail, you do have light rail. Light rail and like what we call subway, where they operate within a city or a small geographic location. The high-speed rail, the one where they operate from end to end, does not have high-speed rail will be preferable, but it doesn't have to be a high-speed rail to be a passenger railroad. So let's just write it. But if the high-speed rail and the talk about, there are countries in Africa, you know, Tanzania and other countries, them who we can look to and learn from and understudy. So what we implement, we own probably even better than them, because we already go avoid the mistakes than what they make. But we not even look at other African countries and we just a market and say, oh, Nigeria get this, so we say one time. We don't know how well they operate. Oh, Ghana get this, we say one time. We don't know how well they operate. But if we really take the time and commit yourself, you will go study what's in Ghana, because everything getting downside. And then you will avoid that downside there of them continent, unfortunately, they try to implement. So we say not going to repeat the same mistake. Then go begin to look from because we will be more successful, because we don't learn from their own mistakes. So therefore, we're not going to go through them pitfalls then there. But not so we make laws back home. We just copy. Well, I wouldn't even say copy. We just falamakata or imitate. Yeah, let me say we just imitate other countries with whatever they get. And that's how we operate across the board. No creativity, no resourcefulness. It's just a matter of this country get that, we self want it. But we don't know how it's being run. We don't know whether it's being run efficiently. We know whether it's being run profitably. So Dan Amion stuff about railroad. I am one of the beneficiaries of passenger railroad system in Sierra Leone. You know, I rode the train back and forth from Penembu to Bo to Freetown. So I'm one of the beneficiaries of them. So I know how useful it is. And I know how surprising it was when the government, for some reason, decided to let it go. So we just need, if we want to get back passenger railroad, let us put some thought into it. It's not the thing with Parliament, and cabinet for us meet. Cabinet something will comprise of people away who never even saw a train operate in Sierra Leone. People who even living abroad may have never even ridden on a passenger train abroad. But because they go back home, then they're in a position of power. All of a sudden, they come up with this thing. Within Sierra Leone, America gets spacecraft, so we have to careful begin do Apollo and then this is just ridiculous. We better get some commitment and try to put experts them in some of them what they talk about. Not to, so then regulatory bodies they are, what they come up with, what are the composition of them regulatory body they are? Who are they there? How many people know what they are talking about, or are they just there for the per diem? Because when them bodies are made, they are being paid, them body. So is that the only reason, but not to anything meaningful in terms of substance? So I mean, they can keep playing the game, but we're lagging behind. We got to move forward. We got to take governance very seriously. Let me read it. Let me read a comment, and then of course I will ask Mr. Mengo to comment. When we have a citizen like Mohammed Kamara Jagaban, who want to bring investment to the country and was always stopped by police. Well, that is so true because it's a pattern, but this is the short-sightedness. The Australians, then, I mean, I don't hear people in talk, oh, Jagaban no go back to school. What does that got to do with anything? The man is a successful businessman by any standard, you know? So, so he talked some wrong English the other day. Who cares? You know? And who will know if now English, the correctness of English has been the gold standard, our England will be the #1 country in the world because the language the originators of English. But let us remember, people in need for land. The Russians don't get official English as an official language. The Chinese don't have English as their official language. And the Japanese don't have English as official language. The Germans don't have. The French don't have. So we better leave this mentality alone. And conversely, the most fluent Sierra Leonean in English don't necessarily mean he's informed. He's just good in speaking a language. That's all he is. So we need to put aside them foolish standards in there. Jagaban, I don't know him. I'm not advocating for him. But God bless him. If in well trade or create in America, I want to go put some Australian, the police has no business. These are all the things in way really serious-minded government for the try to avoid. Stop being an obstructionist to people and we get money when they go back home. Because we'll talk about the situation involving Malador. The other Sierra Leonean guy who I heard is a successful man, he made his success in Turkey, came back home trying to help the poor, giving them loan, doing other thing. What happens? You get top government officials there. Then the next thing you know, police begin to invite them or the CID. These practices should be stopped. It hurt. And what kills us? Whatever Jagaban is trying to do, they may be trying to obstruct him and delay him and make you feel simply because a foreigner wants to do the same thing the man is doing in terms of business. So when this man is trying to implement his own hard money for brothers and sisters then to work, you know, and maybe he's not rubbing the palm of officials then like how we know they exist, but then the foreign person who comes in, he knows weakness, then they begin to monopolize certain things. Oh, well, Jagaban not for sell pen. Now, now some Lebanese or so. In fact, I hate to even pick about on a certain group of people because I feel bad. Because like we within a foreign country. And we know how it feels when they pick on we. They then pick on you because you're black, because then pick on you in Africa. So we can avoid all of that. So whatever undue advantage would they give foreigners them, Lebanese, Middle Easterners them, that practice therefore stop. It for be equal treatment. So if Australian come, they get the means. In fact, when I for speed up the process of giving him whatever license he needs to go into business, because that's the way they can contribute back. But if when they make things difficult for them, people abroad, they see that example there. Why will you want to go back home and invest where you stand a good chance of losing your money anyway? So now you go by faith. You can't have faith stronger than that. So, then they always undermine people. So when this person say, when we have a citizen like Mohammed Jagaban who wants to bring investment to the country and was always stopped by police, yeah, it's a bad. In fact, police don't forget anything to do with NTR, but the way we get the system now, police on their own, they doesn't take up on themselves for just go and confront somebody and say, we want to investigate you, want to talk to you, without any legal justification. So these are petty things, but then they hinder progress. So, like I say, and I like the fact that Jagaban named Mohammed Kamara, but you can't identify him, or you can't label him by his name. He say, I belong to Kenema district. Now they are born, now they are grow. I mean, district that. So it's a good, I think it's progress. When a Kamara can call the East in homeland, you know, it will be a good day when a Masakoi go say, Makeni, Putloko, Nami home. In fact, that's what we should strive towards, not to this name identification and say, oh, in another. Well, if we know a country, as a matter of fact, not to so, it's not true either. You name not necessarily place you in a particular locality because we're all over the country. But I'm just saying, then, and they will start to think progressively. And they will urge the government them, whether you're an APC supporter or you're an SLPP supporter. Or, when a politician here then come, they begin to talk a bunch of which will not make sense. We need to question them, you know. And because at the end of the day, the diasporans them are the ones who are making the most investment in Sierra Leone. So we got to give them all the support they need. One thing, Mr. Mengo, before I tell you, somebody's asking a question or make a comment. Any public transport initiative in Sierra Leone must contain some private input for the project to be successful. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, Mr. Mengo, you can analyze that statement, whether any investment or initiative has to have private input. It will be good because it will lift the middle class, or it will create a new class of economically successful people. So I'm in agreement with it, but it's just a matter of how. How do we do it? Because if private input means the wealthy, that don't do much good. And the same old, same old. Yeah, back to you, Mr.
In fact, this statement where this person say go lead me to the next one where they talk about road passenger transport. Then it's not all time well, look at some positive things that will happen in Sierra Leone in terms of road passenger and how the diaspora will involved. Now, for round up on the rail business, number one, let's make it clear. The Arise IPP project was ill thought about. It has been cancelled. So now the past now not happen. Now let's look at the way forward. If the government say they want to develop a rail system, let's start from where to we get. Because now we already get a railway between Tonkolili and Pepel, where na port, na specifically freight railway, and our government already get them. So, if we want to look at developing railway, what we should do, first of all, bring people that we go develop a railway blueprint map. We get an equity because first time, the rail system we get, now be circular system. We go all partner the country. Because when it starts from Water Street, which is how they call Wallace Johnson Street now, go to Klein Town, Major Junction, you get one way they go south, and then they go and Pendembu, you get the one way they go north. Let's look at that system. See mining companies to invest in rail, extend them in rail. Another way some other country they do if you want to get diaspora as income, you set up what they call infrastructure bond. What's in an infrastructure bond? Now, like how you get government bonds then, where the people then from the diaspora, if you give them a plan, a design of the railway, and especially we get a lot of diaspora organizations them from different parts, where go benefit their regions. They can invest in them bond and day, so you go get a combination of infrastructure bond, you get combination of investment from the mining company, you get combination of agro-based industry, industrial agriculture, where go benefit. They come up with a package for fund the railway. But you know they start the other way around, say you go set up a railway development authority when that same authority they